too much CP hate. Like somebody was like, somebody had to flex their muscle.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, CCP. I'm with Greg. CCP didn't want us chatting shit about them.
Yeah, it was a deep.
Oh yeah, me muted again.
Eric.
Yeah, you were muted, by the way. Eric.
Well, you know why? Because I'm really not listening to you guys. I'm actually listening to my Spotify Christmas music playlist. So
well, the other thing was there was also an advert playing at the start. A lot of people got adverts.
And Eric, you've misspelled Weebler.
It's Wibbler.
It should be Free Weebler.
No, it's one I and it's Wibbler.
It's double E.
It's Wibbler, but we are going to be promoting and selling.
I don't want them mad at me.
Weebler body pillows.
I don't
because that's a weeb thing.
I'm not getting caught up in that and getting yelled at. By the way, I still haven't seen his pings that got him ping banned. Right? That
Yeah, you need to copy and paste that into
right.
staff.
By the way, for those who are late to the game, right? So, are late to it, right? Wibbler has apparently had his ping ability constrained in some way, and we would like him to be back.
If we are going to be producing and selling Weebler pillows, it needs to be Weebler and not Wibbler.
It obviously needs to be. It needs to be Weebler body pillows, and it needs
exactly.
To be,
they're making fun of me.
A full size. It needs to be a full size. Obviously a full size kind of rendition of Wibbler's character.
The pillow is going to be just his face, of course, so you can basically bury your face in his.
It needs to be at least the head and torso.
And then the long version is going to be a full torso version that you can hug, right? And I think if we play our cards right, maybe we can even get it sold on the Mitanis new furniture site for bed stuff.
Yeah. So a Weebla is them making fun of me, Glow Hollow, because I always mispronounce Wibbla's name for at least once, and I'm on a special list that probably will eventually ban me from Goons because of it. Just saying. So yeah. By the way, and Wibbla got banned from some of his ping abilities because Dirk was feeding him quotes to ping out. So technically, Dirk is an enabler.
Don't blame me.
Dirk is an enabler. You're the one who said it, not me. He's an enabler. And
I don't think Dirk specifically said it needs to be pinged out. Like, I think that was specifically Wibbler's, discretion in that regard.
Look, last night Wibbler thanked me for my ghostwriting help. So
I got to read these, okay? Should I just read them out loud?
There they are. I mean, if you want to read them out loud, that's fine.
I'm trying to
It's a lot of pings, and not just from Wibbler, but this is why Wibbler was.
Yeah, I'm trying to open it up so that it so that I make sure I get the full quote all the way across because Discord wasn't. So
are you going from bottom to top or what?
Are we doing bottom to top? Okay.
Don't they kind of have to be read synchronous with the actual stream?
I'm trying to make sense of these.
I think to some degree they're like,
I think they make more sense in
constrained
context.
a little bit. I think you need to actually download the text, the full text.
Yeah, I'm looking. Okay.
God damn.
I do like Havish going, it's like Wibbler joined Goons and discovered Eve Mail. That's funny. Does anybody use email? What did okay.
No, of course not. Fuck that. Like Eve Mail died as soon as Eve Skunk was created. Like that basically that's when Eve Mail died. Like anybody who was using Eve Mail after that was basically a fucking idiot. or lived in high sec and was involved in people who basically involved in a corporation or in a group that literally was irrelevant. I mean, that sounds fucking harsh, but
if this are the quotes
you knew you were relevant in eavesdropping. You knew you were relevant in that kind of time when your corporation had like corporation emails like leaked on eavesdropping.
McLeod, you have to be careful. There might be actual viewers here that still use things like IRC, and we might actually also have people that still swear that TeamSpeak is a superior option. So
okay,
let's not shame people that are anachronistic.
I remember when there wasn't TeamSpeak 3 and people were still saying that like TeamSpeak 2 was the optimal solution. It was like, dude, you really need to like get with the times.
So
but there might still be people that are still like Kaising using ICQ, which is like hilarious, and there might even be. Do we still have?
Are we allowed to even?
Is that still up?
I have a question. Are we allowed to read these online, Brisk?
I have. Brisk will be able to answer that, not me.
Yeah, because I really like at 7:30, 7:44 p.m. I mean, that's probably so far my favorite Wibla quote. And no, I'm not going to display things. That would be a bad thing, right? And I don't know if I should. So unless Briss says it's okay, I'm not. But wow. I mean, there's some.
It's the Brisk. It's the pings that Wibla sent out like that Thursday when
the real question.
They're in staff chat.
But guys, the real question here is how much of the content of those pings were basically just
go read it. Fine.
Seriously, how much of the content of these pings are basically just quotes directly from that stream? Because then you're being banned or suppressed by guilty by association.
I'm only going to read this one because I believe that it encapsulates the spirit of all things set. Okay? It is not every day you get to watch such a masterful display of sheer incompetence than what CCP Rattati is displaying right now. Favorite quote.
The thing is,
that ping
that is good. That
brings a tear to my eye. And by the way, if I would be watching this out, I mean, if I were drinking like a soda or something, right? I mean, that shit would be coming out my nose as I read this stuff, man. Okay.
I'll read these pings at my leisure, kind of afterwards. But like,
oh my god,
Brisk, I feel for you, man. Like I didn't have Pigeon open at the time, so I could missed it all.
Yeah, and then the other one, which is just a quote, right? A quote from our favorite dev. At some point, the stockpilers, which we've said before, will have to give in and sell at the same price as the manufacturers. Actually, no, because this isn't real. This isn't reality. I don't ever have to sell my stockpile, and screw you, CCP, because I can sit on it for another 10 years when it's worth probably even more. So, I mean,
I want to say
it's like the dumbest. I mean, when I sent that, we are now dumber. Wow, we are dumb.
So I want to say something about those stockpiles.
Thinking about perishables.
I want to say something about those stockpiles specifically, though, and I really hope that I'm not stepping on some material that Brisk is going to be bringing up on Meta Show. If I do, I apologize, Brisk. I had no idea in any way, shape, or form, but it's just something that kind of eats at me when I see something like that. But like, I don't know how many people out there kind of saw the graphs on the whole kind of like, stockpiles of material and how they've like, turned a corner or whatever, and the stockpiles have been dropping kind of thing, right? Is it just me, or do people kind of look at that and kind of go, that graph really looks like, stockpiles in null sec only systems? because
I was stuck on the fact that calling it a graph was an affront to anything graph-like, because there was lack of indicators, there was completely
there was a lot of
smashed up text where it's like, what am I actually reading? If you handed that graph in on anything that was an assignment or an exam, you would completely fail.
But going away from like what a graph should look like and how a graph should be represented in the data, and not just, you know, smash like labels on top of labels on top of labels on top of labels, because that doesn't actually help anybody in any way, shape, or form. But like the way that I looked at that graph, I was like, that does actually look very much like stockpiles in nullsec, right? And honestly, just the fact that like nullsec systems only, right? If those, like, just seeing that kind of that graph dropping, right, does not mean that those stockpiles don't exist in the game. It can just mean those stockpiles now don't exist in nullsec because they've been moved to lowsec. And what do you think may have happened to a whole shit ton of stockpiles that may have been sitting in big fuck off, you know, keep stars around Delve? You know, like say when those keep stars may just, you know, randomly explode.
Can I just defend? I need to defend my position because I'm in the middle of
something. Like, you know, those stockpiles, they don't stay in nullsec. They move to a lowsec system, right? So those stockpiles, yes, will start to disappear off that graph. It doesn't mean they now don't exist. It just means that they're now in lowsec.
But it's still it's really important to tell us what the actual graph is showing, because if these things are dropping because of changes in actual value, how much of that is the impact? This is why at least the other graph they showed was kind of made sense with the it was broken a bit, but at least they showed volume mined and not value mined for once.
This example of, like, you know, critiquing the actual data, it is one of those kind of aspects that, like, I almost think that, like, am I a crazy person in actually wanting to sort of critique data like properly, like, or should I just be taking it at face value, like all of the other fucking the majority of the other fucking Eve media out there, like. I don't know. Am I insane?
You're not. Don't feel like I've been told exactly what those graphs were supposed to be showing. Were they showing all stockpiles, mineral stockpiles, all mineral stockpiles, moon material stockpiles? What are you actually showing? It's like you're not telling us what that data is. It's a complete mess. And again, a graph is supposed to make data easier to understand. This is actually doing the opposite. It's not giving you the data, not giving you any information on what you're looking at. It's just giving you a curve. It's like, okay, fine, that's a curve. That's very pretty.
I would believe CCP if they said, you know, the stockpiles are dropping and showing that graph, if they were actually, you know, if what they've said previously in various different things when it comes to, you know, understanding the data that's available to them, that they actually, you know, were like truthful about shit, but they haven't been. So like, it's one of those things where, like, trust is not just inherently given; it's earned, and CCP hasn't earned it. So that's why, you know, that's why I kind of feel like I need to critique that kind of data.
And again, when they were showing this data, right? What you're supposed to do when you show data, right? Because that graph that you're talking about was not actually shown on the stream, right? It was the other two. But the point is that the graph they were showing, they were talking about them and then making conclusions, but not explaining the actual content and information. It was a horrible use of the graphs. It's fine that you order the data scientists to actually make you some graphs, but if you then don't use them to point out your argument and just make blatant conclusions and then assume that the viewers are going to agree with you, it's like, that's just not how you use data. Even Dunk was getting riled up because they do not show that you've solved the problem with the raw core, right? They show that there was, but then they show a lot of stuff that over time, as he said, you didn't really need to do the last thing with the raw core. And he's right, even though I still think that it should be moved to a new function. But he's right that it's not a Texas shooter thing that problem solved, because then you didn't have to do that. It was solved in the start of poverty. Funny because of the fact that the problem was always the fountain, not the cup, right? So the cup side doesn't matter if the availability of raw materials has been nerfed. So the problem got pretty much solved when they did the redistribution stuff, which was massive poverty and had nothing to do with scarcity. Scarcity is supposed to be something that is location based and time based, right? And not permanent. If it's permanent, it's poverty.
Yeah, and for people who think that like, oh yeah, CCP, can make mistakes, they're only human sort of thing. Like, I get that, they are only human, they can make mistakes, but like the thing that, it starts to look like it's deliberate after a while when they've made so many mistakes, and people have pointed out like, oh, maybe you've made a mistake here, there, and wherever, and they blatantly kind of disregard it and just carry on as usual. Like, at some point you kind of think that like this might actually be.
But the problem, the problem is their mistake is really all in the procedure. It's not necessarily in the details. It's in the procedure. It's in the fact that they don't want to discuss these things with us ahead of time. They don't want to actually do gradual changes and changes where you can actually say something about the effect. They keep throwing like 10 changes in and then doing the Texas shooter thing of saying mission accomplished. It's like, that's just not how you operate when you want to do things in a meaningful, scientific and fact-based way. And the example of that stream where they basically made the conclusion and then pointed to the graph and said, this is why we're right. It's like, this is just not how facts are deduced, right? It's like, it's all procedural. It's all
you can't ignore the stuff that is like, just, not convenient for the intended result that you want. Like,
they're massaging the data.
You don't start off with the conclusion and then find the relevant data to back up that conclusion. That's not how that functions. That's not how you build from data, because you're not building from data, you're building from like an abstract conclusion and trying to find the data that backs it up.
And not sharing the facts with the players and not sharing the facts with the CSM is really obfuscation, right? They are literally and directly removing the facts, so we can't do oversight. You can say, well, oversight can be abused in EVE Online because then people can speculate and game it before time and all that. This is true, but without oversight, we have no way of having the discussion with CCP whether or not the game is in a healthy place. They're being arrogant, but they're doing it in a very vague and shadowy way.
I find it so funny when people talk about like gaming stuff and like they'll have an advantage. Like, I'm sorry, is this being, would this, if CCP came out with this information, is it being distributed to people who are privately in a private club, like that requires like some kind of like additional monthly subscription to get into to know this sort of stuff? Oh no, wait, no, they would be saying it in public, accessible to all, including every single person who is both playing the game and not playing the game. So who is it suddenly, who is it benefiting except every single person playing the game at the point at which, they release that information? Like, I don't understand that fucking logic.
And I don't like to throw this term around a lot because it's a little bit controversial, but it is a fact that it's starting to look a lot like gaslighting. It feels like CCP are speaking to us in a way where we are not allowed to have our own opinion or our own critical sense, and as soon as we voice that, they basically start to claim that we're just misremembering things. Like, they never said and used the word scarcity. It's like, yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Very much. Come on.
They did not. They used the word scarcity. They didn't use scarcity. They never said scarcity. It was scarcity every single fucking time. I don't know what you're talking about.
And this is the problem. If they say that they have never said that or never done that, and I'm just misremembering, and then they of course have the power to go back and fiddle and edit and remove old dev blocks and things like that. So I feel like the remaining player base that still uncritically applaud CCP are literally gaslighted, and they speak like people that are gaslighted. They over apologize for things that are blatantly wrong, and anyone that's actually got a little bit critical sense will agree this is wrong. This is just not healthy for the game. And I don't know what to do anymore. It's like I've been the longest lasting fucking fanboy of EVE Online, right? But
yeah, we're tired of it.
I can't defend any of the things they do anymore because they don't seem to change. If they had the intention of change and actually showed progress, I would still applaud them because I still think they have one of the better games out there. It's just they are killing my will to play the game.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yes, my son.
There are no Jesus features.
Yeah, no Jesus features.
Let's put it this way, guys.
Fucking Christ.
Right?
Yeah,
I think I pray all the time that CCP will do something that disproves what I was thinking about them years ago. And they don't, right? We think about some of the mistakes they made, right? They introduced Blackout, and then they had what were the invaders that we didn't know whether they would destroy all the stations. What was it that kept Dirk and I and everybody else up 24/7 for a few days and ended a war? Drifters, right? They just made drifters come in, and then we're like they stopped the whole freaking war.
Yeah, that was
right.
Oops,
I mean, I guess I'm just challenged that if people like us, we're just players. We're not anything special. We talk about playing the game, but we're not big brain people in this game or anything. And it just seems like some of the things they do from a common sense perspective are, what were you thinking?
Yeah, right? It feels like they are, again, they think, I think we've lost the original development ideologies of CCP. I think we're down the path of them having hired way too many people with only experiences from other games. And I've said this before.
Just experience from real life. So I'm sorry, but sometimes things in EVE are kind of analogous to real life, but sometimes they.
No, I think it's actually the other way. I think it's actually what I was about to say is,
Caleb, is sometimes they are. Sometimes certain aspects of EVE are like real life, but there are many situations where things in EVE are nowhere near like EVE.
Yeah, but that's not what I was trying to point out.
Is that a fire department?
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I do think that simulation is superior to actual game design in EVE Online. But my point is that many of the changes we've seen over the years are almost one-to-one something that resembles other games. And it's just what works in other games almost by definition will never ever work in EVE Online. So you can't do these things by taking inspirations and ideas from other game developers. You're going to destroy the premise of this game. It's so backwards because it's the other games that really should start copying some of EVE's design, but they don't, and they've been failing to do so for 15 plus years, right? And CCP keeps adding things from those other games, like dungeons and other things, enchantments, and they always do it in a way.
Hold on.
Maybe it makes them some money, but it destroys the game.
We have enchantments. I mean, do we have enchanted mining lasers and stuff?
Yeah, they're called mutaplasmids. That's literally enchantments, right?
Yeah, it's just a different terminology for it. So
It's the same with the teleport stuff with the filaments. I'm not necessarily against the overall idea of filaments, but when you introduce it in EVE Online, you have to completely balance it to what the existing ecosystem is. And the fact that they haven't has just added so many dumb things, like it's what I call the expeditious retreat option, where you can always get out of trouble if you have these filaments. And the fact that you can use them in wormholes is still a joke. Even wormholers agree that it's fucking dumb, because wormholes are supposed to be somewhere where you can end up being trapped and you have to scan down to get out. There was an entire group and organization created to save people from that. Now you just yeet out. It's like, okay, fine, I'm just going to click this and I'm out. Bye-bye. This is just fundamental mistakes keep being made by devs in CCP, because they bring in things from other games.
To be meaningful. Your decisions in EVE need to have meaning, need to have, like, need to matter, right? Like, oh yeah, but we're also going to introduce, filaments that allow you to just, like, yeet out of wherever you are. If your decision goes bad, like, fuck.
And as I understood it, the intent was to make it easier to get to a location, but they forgot to think that that's also something that can be used for the opposite, which is getting out of a location.
Wouldn't that be common sense, though?
Well, not if you skip that part in your discussions and balance talks at the table, right? And this is what they keep forgetting. It feels to me like every time they bring in these things, there is no discussion about, okay, so the feature in itself in the micro scale does this. That's kind of cool. What will it do on the macro scale, and how can it be abused? This is where CCP keeps failing.
Yeah, and Eric, it's a bit of a misnomer, but, like, common sense is actually not that common.
Ah, really?
We should start calling it.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way.
Can we call it
common sense is enjoying scarcity in CCP.
Yeah.
There's a scarcity of common sense at CCP. In case anybody from CCP didn't understand what we said the first time.
See, CCP started with the scarcity. We didn't expect that the CCP would have started the scarcity in Iceland with, like, common sense.
Yeah. Well, the commonality of sense is scarce in CCP. Is that what we're saying?
Hold on. What did Hazitude said? Check pings right now.
Did Wibbler get his pings back?
I don't know. I got ping. I got a ping or two.
I actually didn't have it up because I usually shut it down during the show.
I guess this is the sort of time. This is the moment where we kind of go. If you're in Imperium / if you're in Goons, check your pings.
Well, someone mentioned health and mana potions, and it's kind of funny, right? Because we've had these things, and it's the same quality of life creep that we've had over time. With we have the constraint of our cargo and hangar spaces and ammo base and all that stuff. And every single time someone says, well, we need to make them bigger so I can have more cap boosters and more ammunition and more drones. It's like, well, if you let the players drive you towards that quality of life creep, what you end up with is game design that doesn't work. If I can have 999 mana potions, I've basically just added a level to the game that completely breaks the function of a mana potion.
Mm-hmm. Dirk. Apparently, pings have been happening. And anyway, like, we're not actually asking people to log in. We're just asking people to check pings. Like, whether you want to log in or not, that's up to you. That's up to your discretion.
Yeah, I'm very much not interested in a lot of what is happening in EVE right now. Which is kind of weird for me because, like, hey, yeah, I'd love to join a fleet in my spare time, but I don't actually want to log into EVE and give CCP that kind of engagement. I'm watching everything else because, you know, I'm a diplomat and I have that kind of obligation. I play, you know, pings online. I play Jabber online. I play Discord online. I watch it. I watch a hell of a lot of what is going on, but I don't. I don't log in unless there's really something that I need to deal with at the end of the day, which is it's kind of sad for me, to be perfectly honest.
But this is also what's so tragic, right?
I want to be playing EVE Online. I want to have a reason to play EVE Online, but I don't. And also,
all of that was muted.
So
that's sad.
Yeah.
I suck so bad at this thing hosting. Right. So the three main important things that we've got going on that the people heard that you, our audience, our fine audience, did not hear is, number one, we've got The Witcher going on, we've got The Expanse going on, and we've got Wheel of Time going on. All are
the Grand
excellent.
Tour special.
And the what?
And the Grand Tour special.
All good and fine, but can I just be
allowed pushing buttons?
I would like to go back on Dirk's topic, because I think it's very important. The fact that CCP has managed to create a game that does something that most other games aren't even close to following, right? The fact that they have created a game that creates emergent behavior in the social groups that are playing it, so they end up playing it mostly for all the meta stuff. The fact that they can do real live meets, the fact that they can play while offline, the fact that they are checking pings, that they are playing the Discord game. The Discord game really emerges from the actual in-game client stuff, right? But all of this trickles out into all this meta, and it seems like CCP does not respect that type of gameplay, that they don't understand that they've actually succeeded in doing what no one else has been able to, creating an actual massive multiplayer online game experience and an actual meta. Everyone else just uses these terms arbitrarily on things where they don't really apply. In EVE, they do, and the fact that CCP are risking this weird, unique experience, gameplay, and creation is just so tragic. Because what Dirk just talked about, all the things that he's still doing them, but they all originate from the game. But now he doesn't give a shit about the game. So they're risking killing their own fucking cash cow.
I give a shit about the game in terms of the fact that it's a game that I've played for a hell of a lot of years and have a vested interest in, right? I want the game to do well, but I don't need necessarily the game to do well for the outside of game interactions that I have to continue happening.
There you go.
We get together on a Friday night here at INN, and not everyone is invited. Sorry, guys, but we get together every Friday night and we have a chill chat.
I'm never invited, just so everybody knows.
We talk about whatever the fuck we want, and we did the same thing on Thursday night this week, and we're doing the same thing tonight. Because it's getting to the holidays and we're deciding that we want to enjoy it. We want to enjoy our interactions with other people. None of those interactions are actually relevant to EVE anymore. We'll do this regardless of the fact that EVE exists. And that just kind of tells me, hey, our community is beyond this game that CCP are fucking up. Every time we talk about EVE being bad, and we've said this multiple times on this show, and I'm sure we'll continue to say this, but every time we tell CCP that they're fucking up, it's not because we have an issue with EVE. It's because we like EVE. We want EVE to continue, and when they make decisions that result in us telling them that they're fucking up, that just kind of says to us, hey, no, you need to change your approach. We're not telling you that you're fucking up because we're trying to be mean. We're telling you that you're fucking up because we care about the product and we want it to be a good thing for the future.
And this is where it's almost worth mentioning the problem with Reddit screaming and armchair developments, right? Because we're not, or at least I'm not saying that CCP needs to listen to their players when it comes to ideas and specifics, because I'm almost the opposite. I think they should stop listening to dumb players, because they've listened to dumb players way too much on quality of life creep and removal of tedium and nerfing other players' game style and stuff like that, right? But they need to at least listen to players as a group when we are looking at the oversight. So after the fact, right? And this is about, don't take our ideas, take our feedback. That's the main thing. And it feels like because they've made those mistakes in the past, now they almost blame us for their mistakes. And now they don't want to listen to us or talk to us anymore. So and then if you're going to make changes and you want to be able to analyze it with or without our help, make sure that you're not conflating data. Make sure that you're not making 5 changes and then drawing a fucking big circle around the change that you like in there and then say mission accomplished, because you're really not being factual and scientific in your approach. You have to stop this behavior.
Well, and Goonie DuPont points out something excellent, right? You roam around, look around, see what's out there. There are regions that are just dead. And CCP has to see that, right? I mean, I don't really know what metrics they collect on the game. I mean, obviously we know some of it's bad, and just doesn't work. But I mean, Jesus, analytics engines are a dime a dozen out there anymore. Excuse me.
Please, if you're gonna do rewards for logging on and doing something, make sure that it requires doing something. These arbitrary, stupid login rewards to pad your data, horrible. Can we get rid of them?
Yeah, hey, you look at it, Microsoft's got an analytics engine, AWS has an analytics engine. They have relationships with both of those. One of the things that I think, and Oracle obviously has a good analytics engine as well. So, I mean, all the big companies have them. They can use them if they collect the right data. The interesting thing, and this has been percolating my brain, and I keep not saying it. When's the next planned server upgrade?
You can't do that until you finish all the software parts.
You can do that.
You can.
But it doesn't make any sense.
It depends.
It's a periodic thing, right? The last server upgrade that we saw was 2015. How much longer are they going to wait for their server ship?
Well, if
their
there's
actual hardware.
But this is the same as our complaint about soft changes. If they have a lot of things on the docket and that's going to be prerequisite for soft changes, they need to finish those first. It's the same with if you have lots of software stuff, and new things, and outsourcings and shit like that, you want to do
software developers
before you upgrade the
software developers have nothing to do with hardware and hardware upgrades and refreshes and software operating system type stuff, right? The software development team has nothing to do with that. Shouldn't be in their timeline. The upgrades, because they're using VMware, should be transparent to those people, and you can leverage.
But you don't want a big migration if you're making big changes that belong before.
Come on. I mean, this is what I do, Caleb. Right? There's no problem doing massive hardware changes and making things transparent to users. It is so easy.
But you still need to make it worth the cost, right? So
they could shift out the server blades that they've got. They could shift out.
It's not a big deal.
The CPUs and the RAM and all the rest.
VMware can take a VM and move it from one physical server to another, and you never know.
Yeah, but you still have to. Okay, the budget-wise, that makes no sense at the moment.
Well, budget-wise is a very different question, because
these
budget-wise are questions that we're paying for.
At
the end of the day,
5+ years. You're on 7 years without a hardware refresh. Very few people do that. Okay.
we're paying for it. We, as subscribers,
Well,
are paying for it.
Now, the reason I bring that
up... They're not
up...
talking about it generally. They're not talking about the future of their software development.
I know companies that have...
It's just a big old thing.
Right.
I'm just saying, if I was sitting inside CCP and looking at their metrics, the issues with actual server performance, then it's only in edge cases. It's been improving over many years. So adding cost would not make sense. From a business point of view, this just doesn't make sense. And people
you're looking at it the wrong way. You're looking at it the wrong way. Okay, you're looking at it the wrong way. There's obsolescence in those operating systems. There are inefficiencies in those operating systems. You don't know if the hardware translates to the latest version of operating systems or not. There is a reason that companies do this, right? Companies don't run on hardware this is absolutely long-term planning. I have customers that do it every 48 months. I have customers that do it every 3 to 5 years. But that's really where you are in your ROI in the hardware. And if you leave your hardware out there 6 or 7 years, there's only one reason you don't upgrade it.
But again, you're ignoring what I'm trying to say. If you're looking at the requirements, is there a need? And you have to justify that need. And what is the cost of that upgrade? And as far as I can tell right now, I don't think server upgrades are cheap. So I think the added cost would not make business sense. Yeah, it wouldn't, because there's not a doubling of EVE players year over year. So if the EVE player base is not growing, if the server load is not growing, why would you need to upgrade? It makes no sense.
There's tremendous reasons why you don't leave old hardware out there.
There's technical reasons for sure, but
I mean, think about it. So I will guarantee you. Hold on 1 second. I will guarantee you that's the support costs on operating systems and servers that are 5+ years old are higher than brand new.
I think that the point that Caleb kind of touched on and didn't really articulate is a point that Alpha3 in Twitch chat kind of mentioned. CCP are not a company that is growing at the minute.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not.
So them justifying an upgrade, even if it's necessary, them justifying the cost for an upgrade is weighed against the cost of employing people.
There are other reasons.
CCP are kind of fucked right
There are other reasons to upgrade your hardware. I mean, it's not just a pure performance play. Right? Because again, this is what I do. I do the cost-benefit analysis, the value statements.
But they have to pay for it, and they have to find the cost for that. They have to find the money for that.
But this is long-term planning. This money should be already there. When you look at this, right? If the player base is shrinking, and you don't need as big of a cluster, and you don't need as big of a cluster, your replacement costs are even less because you're getting better performance out of a smaller footprint, right? And maybe they're looking at, migration into the cloud or whatever, right? Because cloud isn't just shared servers, right? You can do bare metal provisioning and own the whole server and all that stuff in the cloud. I mean, none of that. But when you're looking at it, eventually your support costs for the hardware, because the older the hardware is, the higher degree of failure that you have on that hardware. Also, actually, what Microsoft and everybody else charges you for support actually goes up the older the equipment and everything is. So, I mean, those are soft costs that a lot of people don't see, right? Because you run out. The other thing is some pieces of hardware actually won't run newer pieces of software.
And we have to also take into account that CCP, even though they're pretty much running by themselves, it would still make sense to have a top-level plan on something like server hosting and server migrations and things like that from PA, right? So if they're going to do that, they might want to do this as a PA level service, right? So everything in the future will run on similar types of services and with bigger deals made and stuff like that. So there might be reasons why we're not seeing this. And I think the core was what you touched upon. I think they do want to move it into the cloud, but that's different than what they are used to, just upgrading by adding better blades, right? That's pretty much what they've been doing in their entire history. If they have to migrate this to a virtual thing, this is something new, and it has to be
cloud isn't necessarily
cloud
isn't necessarily virtual. They are already virtualized across their cluster with VMware. We know that, right? So cloud isn't virtual. You can own your physical servers in your physical regions. It is unlikely.
I was implying outsourcing it, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Here's a very serious question for you, Caleb.
You still don't outsource cloud.
Why would you ever outsource your product to a thing that you don't control at the end of the day? Right? They don't want to host.
Again,
most people do these days. I'm sorry.
It's a misconception that cloud-based systems are outsourced. Okay? That is not necessarily how it all works. Public cloud, certainly, if you're going to drop it on public cloud. But these companies aren't going to drop their stuff on public cloud, guys. That's not how it works. They're going to get regions and own regions, right?
Eric, Eve Chat is currently on AWS.
Yes, we know that. But that doesn't necessarily...
It's been that way for a couple of years.
But again...
why would they move...
AWS
the question that I'm trying to ask
is
Caleb
amazingly...
why would they move the monolith? Why would they move the actual processing of the Eve servers away from something that they can directly respond to?
Because that's the standard today. It's just cost efficient.
So understand, guys, hosting on AWS is not cheap. Okay, it is very expensive. Okay. And how they do some of the sizing and things of their shapes and sizes within there. Azure isn't exactly that cheap either, but it's less expensive than AWS. AWS, I mean, you are tied to a particular level of I/O throughout the entire blade that you're on or the host that you're on. And you often have to buy into CPU and memory footprints that you don't necessarily need and can't use in order to get the right I/O, right? So I mean, we can, and don't forget, they just had a giant outage in the East Coast, and then they had a blip on the West Coast last week.
They kind of fucked their own
and again. By the way, this is also poor architecture design of those systems. Those systems never should have gone out if US East went out, right? That's just dumb. And I can go deep into cloud architecture and how to do it and things like that. And we're trying to stay a little higher right now than that. You know, there are different things. I mean, we have, how do I say this?
Well, instead
of let's put it this way.
Ourselves deeper into this hole, I think what we need to do is we need to get the actual developers from CCP to come on, visit us here on this show, and talk a little bit about plans in the future, and maybe pick apart the software tech updates.
And they may not want to do that. But what I'm saying to you is,
I wish that was a possibility. Yeah. I'm sure you could. I'm sure you'd try and make it work, but I highly doubt that would be.
Let's put it this way, guys.
We'd have to
when you
the words coming out of their mouths,
and we have to go real quick.
Sorry to talk over you, Eric, but I want to reiterate that we'd have to trust the words coming out of their mouths. And when CCP Retardati will go on the CCP Twitch stream and say words like a wealth ledger and words like, yes, we are coming out of the tunnel right now. Or, CCP Swift will say words like, hey, a knob in the black box is going the right way. CCPers could come on this show and we could ask them all the questions we want.
No, I mean,
seriously, journalists don't stop asking questions just because politicians lie.
I'm not stopping asking questions, Caleb. You know this. I'm asking questions most every day. But the point is there value in them coming on the show? I think they're gonna just lie to us.
I think when you talk about a hardware team, you get a very different interview, right? As you all know, I talk to folks in this industry all the time, right? I operate in this industry. When you when you look at somebody, and I only brought it up at the beginning, is when you look at somebody with hardware that is 6-7 years old, that's a bellwether indicator. You understand what's going on there. Okay. I mean, to people in the industry, it makes perfect sense that certain things are going on within that corporation. That's the only thing. But it does open to questions, right? So, I mean, that's something I think we should pursue. I think it's something of interest. I think it is clearly a bellwether, and you need to use that in the scope of everything that you are seeing and hearing out of CCP to understand what's really going on inside that corporation. If you're not hearing that they're going to upgrade, if you're not hearing that they're going to do certain things and reformat in a 6 to 7 year time period, they're late. They're late. Okay. And when you talk about cloud services, right? I have saved people millions by not going into the cloud in certain areas, right? So you have to look and understand what that is. And I can't say everything about that because I do have NDAs for clients and things. But that's my one last thing. Dirk, I gave that. That's your one last thing. So let's go to McLeod,
right, sure.
and Caleb. So McLeod first, and then Caleb last.
I don't know whether this is a one last thing, but like, just with regards to CCP is coming on, like the reason why I'm not I'm not hopeful for CCP is coming on, that are actually in the kind of good areas for decision making onto this show is because we can still ask the same questions that and they could answer with with complete lies. But the thing is, from our perspective, we would be able to know that those are lies and and ask follow-up questions that may end up being quite awkward to them, and they're not going to want to be on a show where that happens, so they're not going to do it. Like, it's not going to look good for them, and it's not because we're going to be asking inappropriate questions. It's because they're afraid of the legitimate questions, follow-up questions that we will ask.
Where is the vision?
Again, I think the plan. I honestly think the plans for things like tech and all that is actually way better than the roadmap that don't exist for other things in Eve. I think the tech guys, they might not be as competent as the art guys, but I do think that they are definitely more competent than currently the actual developers of the in-game stuff.
Alrighty.
The question is, who would they send, right? Like, if they send actual developers that have issues with the direction CCP are taking.
Who's the one that we haven't heard of for a long time? Manbjorn, right?
The executive producer that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Hey guys, we gotta wrap it up.
That's Manbjorn.
Great show, great conversation. I'm gonna sneak one last thing in there. I think
it's my turn.
You already went. I didn't. Quiet. Go, Caleb. Okay, then go.
Okay, my last thing is I found a 3-week-old video that sort of resolves and explains the whole Cider War drama that we've covered many times on this show. So I want to share that with chat so they can go and check the differences of cider in America and in Europe.
And America's right.
Yeah, America's right. The conclusion of it is you guys had what is it?
Prohibition screwed up everything. That's the conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. Prohibition, and that screwed a whole bunch of stuff up.
Yeah, that's what it was. Prohibition. I actually like that video. That was really, really cool.
Eric told us today that he wondered if we'd make an hour show, and here we are at 8:05 here in the UK.
Yeah.
Hey, just
I gotta go buy some Christmas presents
if needs be.
And then this is gonna sound so bad when I say it.
Well,
I have to go.
What a shame.
Check into a hotel that I'm not really gonna use, just so I go to the next level of what is it? I don't know, the next level.
hotel
hotel level upping.
Upgrades and stuff. Yeah,
I found like the cheapest hotel in the area. I'm gonna drive over to check in, and then tomorrow morning I'm gonna virtually check out, and I'm just gonna be like, "Oh, that's so terrible."
So you're getting points for like
it's points.
The Hilton, but not the Hilton.
It's the points and the level.
Have you remembered to tell your wife so it doesn't look like a weird hotel bill statement on?
Yes, and
it's probably the most important thing.
Absolutely. Tell your significant other that you're not cheating on them. Just
otherwise,
you're getting the next thing.
No, she'll be with me. So,
she's going to the hotel with you.
Well, to check in. After this, we got to go buy some more Christmas stuff because we just buy more.
Oh, is that why you store the presents? Okay.
That it'd be an expensive way to do it, but it would guarantee that they can't find them. It's true.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'm gonna kind of leave everybody with, and then we're gonna head out, is the fact that several of you are even openly admitting that even if we talk to CCP, we wouldn't really know, and we just expect them to lie to us, is probably the single most frightening thing I have heard in all of my career playing EVE Online.
Well, that's why two-thirds of my subs just literally dropped today.
Yeah, I saw that. You publicly did that. Yeah, and folks, I don't need an alibi because I take the wife with me. It's okay.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a really scary fucking thought that we are now at the point where we don't even expect CCP to engage with the community in an open and honest way, in the same way that they did years ago. Like we used to expect that. Hey, let's go to an EVE meet and let's talk to CCP, and they will be reasonable with us. They will be honest and kind of open and like. Hey, if they say a thing that they don't like, we can trust that they don't like the thing. Nowadays,
Serum,
we're just not there anymore.
Did Rattati actually say that if you don't like the changes, just leave?
He said that nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was the
first time
It was the thing. It was the thing that basically after the kind of line after that is you'll be back.
Yeah.
You'll be back. Once you don't come back.
If you're not comfortable with the things, you'll be back later. Is basically the gist of the point.
Yeah, the only reason that people come back
a lot of years ago.
Yeah. Well, there's a problem with that because he's assuming they're assuming something that's really bad. Because if I go on a rage break from EVE Online and come back, it's usually because it's something that happened in the game with other players, and then yes, I will come back. If the people that leave because of something CCP does, I don't think they're just on a rage break because they're leaving pretty much for good. So they're conflating 2 points of data again.
I don't think I've really ever come back.
What would bring me back after the developers tell me fuck off? And
the only reason people come back is when they hear the horn of Gondor and they come back to defend goons. They don't give a shit about EVE. By the way, I'm going to leave you all. This is really, we have to go. I have to run. A quote from an Amazon delivery driver. So if you are out there and you don't get your package today, this is why. Okay. The quote is, Santa gave us candy canes from the fire truck, so we just fed him a random package in return. So I'm sorry to whoever doesn't get their Amazon delivery, but Santa on a fire truck has it, and I'm sure he'll get it to you by Christmas Day. So you'll be fine.
Oh, that's hilarious.
All right, everybody. You have a great time, and I guess this is our last show of this year.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm sorry, so we'll see you in 2022 because Christmas Day is next Saturday, and New Year's Day is the Saturday after that. So we will miss you all.
If the world is still here, and if we still have water and electricity, and zombies haven't taken over the world, so we'll be back in 2022.
Yes, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Certainly, may everything, all the blessings be bestowed upon you, and you guys, we will see you in the new year. Everybody wave bye.
Mac is obviously going to give you a show on New Year's Day, guys.
What the fuck?
Well, maybe we'll. Who knows? It depends on how sober we are. I don't know.
Yes,
we'll leave it up. We'll be open to it.
Holding him for that.
All right. Later, everyone.
Hey, Happy Christmas.
It's Merry Christmas, damn it.
Fuck you.
See you guys later.